she's really trying to get better at it. Um, Lighting is actually an interesting topic because it's my favorite subject and it's something I think I excel at. If you go to my website, leelove.com, you'll see almost, I think 99.9% of all my images are lit, whether indoor, outdoor, it doesn't matter. And the reason is lighting allows me complete control over my images. So, Heidi, if you have questions about lighting, or any of you guys have any questions about anything, be sure and reach out. First of all, leave a comment. That'd be great below if you want to do that. Or you can reach me at Lee at Photo Mentor, um, um, photomentoracademy.com. You can always do that as well. Okay, let me see here. All right, so this is the first image that Heidi submitted, and it's an interesting image because she says she was at a county fair, walking along, taking pictures, whatever things look interesting, and she saw this little boy sitting there. Apparently, he is a friend of their son, and he was sitting on sipping on a lemonade, which I thought was pretty cool. And at first, he didn't see her, and that's when she got this first picture, which was really kind of, she thought was a special moment. Um, Actually, I take that back. That's it. This is, yeah. So this is the first one. He didn't really see her, but then when he did see her, she came out with this giant grin. He came out with this giant grin, which she thought was great and really created a special moment. I agree. I think the photo does a great job. It does create a moment, and it does create a little bit of a story there. So let me give you some input, Heidi, on some things you might want to do to improve this image. So first of all, let's see here. I think I have this set up. Yeah, okay, so we bring this into Photoshop. I can edit it here. So the first thing is, and this isn't really a technical thing, but would be to straighten it a little bit. I think, okay, that's pretty easy to do. And you can do that and straighten the image. But the other thing is, and this is something I point out a lot to people, is I call it, what's the hero of the shot? What's the most important thing you want people to look at in your image? And that's what the first question you should ask yourself when you're looking at your image, of especially when you're bringing it into your editor. So the first thing you want to look at is, what's the most important? Where do I want people to look? What am I trying to say with this image? So looking at this, I would say that the first thing is maybe to crop a little bit, bring a little bit in here, and so what you're trying to do is you're trying to eliminate some of the busy background stuff, and you want to tell them where to focus. You don't want to let them their eye wander around the frame trying to figure out where that's going to be. You kind of want to do that for them. All right, so that right there would probably be a pretty good crop for this image. Now, I thought about cropping it even tighter, but what I tell you, when I looked at it, I thought it lost some of its context. And you could go something like this. Maybe if you want a little looser, you could maybe get him. Maybe a little bit, I don't know. But see, I think it loses something when you do it this way. Normally, this is the way I would probably crop an image like this, where I really want people to focus on what it is I'm trying to tell them. But I think in this example, that's a little too tight. So I think that you want to, leave it about like that probably. But it definitely tells a story. I think obviously the young man's adorable. It's pretty hard not to have a great picture of that. So this is the other one with him smiling. Of course, same thing, but you want to kind of straighten this out a little bit because that can be distracting. And then you want to crop up a little bit here, maybe. And again, this is personal preference on a lot of these things, But see, this light up at the top is kind of distracting, and it doesn't really help contribute to the photo. So you could do something like this, and I think that makes the photo a little stronger. Um, I think that's a great image. I think you did a terrific job on this, and I wouldn't change a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot of people. Again, that's the problem. A lot of people can make um, a lot of technical examples, blurring the background, using a wider aperture. All those things could be done, but that's not really the point. The point is, what's the strongest thing in the image? And I would say, looking at this image, the lines, the wood there, and the lines in the across the floorboard really kind of draw your attention to the young man. They also give it a little bit of strength, or in other words, depth to the image. So that works. And space, that would be something we refer to as space when we're referring to the 7 elements of art. So it's a good image. I think nice job on this one. So no problem there at all. Okay, so let's look at the next one. The next one is this one right here, and this is possibly my favorite of the 3 that you submitted. Maybe not because it's black and white, by the way. Some people think that may be it. But black and white, first of all, let me talk about black and white photography for a second. When you're shooting something in black and white, it's very important to remember that it has to be very graphical. In other words, when you look at an image that works, you can't just take a color image and turn it to black and white. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't always. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't. If you look at a really strong black and white image, typically it has, again, we'll go back to it has a lot of value to it, meaning there's a lot of gradation in the blacks and versus the whites. It also has some texture to it many times, and also form. And I think that's really what makes these images work really well, is because you have to have that, or it just doesn't work in black and white. So just turning it to black and white doesn't make it quote unquote artsy. It really has to have some of these other elements in it. I think this one does a pretty good job of that. The story behind this one is that what happens is when you're doing 4-H, you have to be responsible for the animals. You have to take care of them, you have to clean them, you have to clip them, you have to trim them. And so this was an image she felt was really documenting and showing that work behind it. And I agree. The way she summed it up, Heidi summed it up, was she thought this image really showed the artist at work. So she's obviously concentrating, which is really good, and it has a story to it. You can tell that she really cares about the animal, and she's really trying to make it look the best she can. So Heidi, I think it's a great image. What I would possibly do, though, again, let's go back here. If we're going to go here, you might, I don't know if you can, I don't know, see, if you crop it, you might lose the animal's face, and that could, I don't know if that would work or not. You could crop a little bit over here, not too bad. I think you can still leave it this way. I think using the rule of thirds really works. You could also possibly try it like this and possibly see how that works. That may make it, that's pretty good. That's I kind of like that personally. That makes it a very strong image. Again, very graphical, right? It's not literal. It's an image that we're looking at. We can tell it's a cow. We can tell the young lady is trimming the hooves of not the hooves, but the hair around their ankles or their feet. And so that actually may work, that they're looking at that image. So good work on that. Nice job. So this is a good image, and you should be proud of this one. I'm sure the young lady would like it as well. Okay. This next one is one, and I totally understand where she's coming from on this, by the way. She said she was asked to take pictures of the buyers of an animal and some 4-H in the 4-H kids. And of course, the lighting in the barn, it looks like it's a lot of light, but there's not. And it's very difficult. So she brought her flash, which is something she's trying to learn how to use more of, and she bounced it off the ceiling. Now, I would be curious to see how tall the ceiling is, because you got to be careful. A couple things when you're bouncing a flash off a ceiling. Number one, what is the color of the ceiling? If it's wood, then it's going to pick up some of those characteristics of that ceiling. So if you're in a building that has a painted ceiling or something like that, you're going to get that tint on the subjects. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if it's too tall, then you really won't get much benefit for it. So what you can do is diffuse a little bit the light. You can even take a piece of tissue paper, what I always do is tilt the flash at an angle. You can take a 3x5 card or a piece of cardstock, and put that on the back of the flash with a rubber band. And what that'll do is that will bounce some of that light in. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get little catch lights in their eyes, and you're also trying to improve a little bit of fill light, of course. And the other thing you'll find is that also makes the colors pop a little bit. Now, without going into too many details, because this could get complicated, I have a whole video on this I should probably put up here for you. But keep in mind, when you're working with flash, what happens is the flash reads the camera settings. It looks at the camera settings, and this determines how much flash it needs. So if you have a higher ISO, that's going to tell. If you turn the ISO up, the camera's going to tell. That's going to tell the camera, oh, I don't need a lot of flash, and that's going to be good. So what you're trying to do there is balance the amount of flash to the ambient light. You really kind of want maybe 50-50. If you're outdoors, maybe you want a little more than that. But that's the idea. So by using the settings on the camera, you actually can tell the flash to go up or go down. Or here's a trick that I do. I will turn the flash off. I will go to aperture priority. I'll pick my aperture. I'll take a shot, figure out what I want. Hit the aperture, take an image, look at what the readings say. So in other words, you're just basically using the light meter of the camera to tell you what the camera thinks the settings are going to be. Let's just say, for example, it's 1/25th. 1/25th at f8. I don't know, f2.8, whatever. Then go to manual, dial those exact same settings in, and then underexpose the image just a little bit. So let's say the camera said on aperture priority or even auto, it said 3.5 at 2/50th of a second. What you would do then is you would go from 2/50th of a second to 1/25th of a second. So that's going to be one stop. I'm sorry, that's the wrong direction. You're going to go the other way. You're going to actually go, is that right? Let me think about this for a second. I can't believe it. I don't know this. Yeah, you want to underexpose. You want to go from, let's say, 250 to 320, for example. It's about a half a stop. Or you could change from 3.5. The easiest things, go to manual, change from 3.5 to one stop down. So maybe like 4.5 or half a stop. Then turn your flash on, and then manually put your flash on manually flash. You could try setting the flash on auto, and it should read those settings and decide how much flash it needs. But if you need to, if it's too much flash, go to manual on the flash, just dial the flash down a little bit. If it's not enough, dial the flash up. That gives you complete control over the lighting, and so as long as things don't change, you're going to be in good shape. Anyway, sorry, that's kind of like a long way around this thing. But this is a good image. I think you did a good job on this one. You got all the elements in there. You got the people, you got the animal. I don't know what else you could have done on this one, actually. You might have been able to maybe, Let's see here if we've gone, pull this back up. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, here we go. You might have been able, again, Mr. Crop here, I think I am. You could have, you got a lot of space on the side there that you could have gotten rid of. That makes this a more a portrait, a vertical image, of course, and makes it a little stronger because now you don't have all this extraneous space and things you're wandering around looking at the barn. The barn's not important. Obviously, this bottom part's important. If it wasn't, you could, of course, eliminate that as well by going up something like that, but you would want to keep that. And then it kind of, it sort of has, the ribbon sort of tells the story, but it loses a little bit of context again. So I would probably leave that in there. So, good job. All right. So, let's see. The next image. Before I go to the next image, I want to share with you guys something. Why this thing is doing this tonight? Okay. So, if you, I know I haven't been around much lately, and the reason is I know you probably think I'm out goofing off, which I'm not. I'm always working on some kind of crazy project. And one of the projects I've been working on is a way, I'm always looking at ways to help educate you guys, to get more information across in a fun way. You're not, bored. So what I've done is I have come up with something, and maybe you guys aren't aware of it, called Photo Mentor Trivia. And it's a way for you guys to learn and also have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to show you, hopefully, what that looks like. Let's see if this is going to, should work. Let's see if this, how this goes here. See if you can hear this or not.
Welcome to the world of pixels, perspective, and palette, where your knowledge of photography is tested. This is the Photo Mentor's Ultimate Photography Trivia Quiz. I'm your host, Charlie Clickster, here to guide you through this panorama of questions, quizzing your memory, challenging your understanding, and putting your knowledge to the ultimate test. Here are the rules. I will display a question and you will have 10 seconds before the answer is revealed. Are you ready? Who invented the first commercially successful instant camera? A. George Eastman. B. Edwin Land. C. Louis Daguerre. D. Thomas Edison.
Okay, you didn't think I was going to give you guys the answer, did I? You have to go to the the YouTube channel here and try it out and find out for yourself. So there's three quizzes on there right now. I'm going to be working on some new ones for you. But anyway, so if you go in there and try the quiz, you'll have a little bit of fun. There are 10 questions each, except for the first one. There's only 5 there. It was kind of a test. So the other ones, 2 and 3, have 10 questions each, and they give you a lot of detail about the background and how it was, to help. It's more of an education tool, not just a game. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to show you, was a little thing I came up with. Let's see if you guys. This is my buddy Cam, who's my nemesis.
My name is Cam, and back in my day, we had to walk 15 miles uphill in the snow just to snap a decent photo. None of these fancy gadgets you folks use today. And what's this talk about, a Photo Mentor Trivia Quiz? Sounds like a newfangled contraption. But I hear it's a good way to test how much y'all know about the good old days of photography. I bet most of you whippersnappers wouldn't know an aperture from a hole in the ground. Think you got what it takes? Prove me wrong. Try this quiz and show me what you're made of. If you want to impress an old-timer and prove you are a real photographer like me, make sure you don't just click and flash. Subscribe to that. What's it called? Oh, yeah, that YouTubey or some darn thing. Good luck, you'll need it.
There we go. Let's try it again. There we go. That is my attempt at having a little bit of fun with this whole thing, making it a little more interesting, and poking fun at photographers and guys like me that have been doing this a long time. So anyway, check it out. It's on here on the YouTube channel again. Appreciate it if you would subscribe. It's YouTube, of course. You can go to youtube.com/photo or @photo mentor, and it'll take you right there. Anyway, subscribe to that. I think you guys will enjoy it. A lot of fun there. This camera thing's going crazy, huh? All right, so let's get back to it. So the other, let's see what else we've got here. So the other image. Okay, so this other image is a really nice image. This was done by Judy, and Judy does some amazing landscape work. I love her work, and she this is a photo she saw. It says, I saw movement in the petals as the summer comes to an end. Their natural descent from the beautiful flower into an aging seemed to be dancing their way into fall. Seemed to be windy, but was not. Anyway, so what the point about this, and one thing I love about this image is not only is it a beautiful image technically, she has a story. She saw something there. She saw something, and whether that came across to you or not is another story. But the fact is that she saw more than what was there. That is what I refer to as the art of seeing. You're trying to learn to see. These are things that you feel. Photography is about feeling. It's not just about seeing. It's not about the technical stuff. It's about conveying an emotion. And I was talking about this to somebody the other day think about it. What's the most important image that maybe if you had one photo in your life, what would it be? And it probably would be something somebody took of you, maybe a grandparent, a parent, something like that. It just means the world to you, probably. And that is because it has a lot of meaning. It has a story behind it, and you could probably tell the person when you were showing them that. It's not technically, it's not, oh, look at the ISO, oh, look at nobody cares about that stuff. That is not what makes a beautiful image. It's not what makes a compelling image. It's the story behind it, and the ability to convey that technically or using that aesthetically. So with this image here, I think she did a great job. I think what you'll find is if you look, she's got the lines, she's got some shapes in there, the petals, also the color, of course, and the values, and without a doubt, the texture is in there. So all of that does a great, again, look at the side lighting on this. It's not flat. It gives see, this is the thing about lighting, and Heidi, you were talking about working on lighting. If you study the way light works by looking at things like the photo like this, you can tell the way to show off texture is to light the object from the side. So the light is coming from the side, as you can see. It casts a shadow. Look where the shadows fall. That tells you a lot about the image and about the lighting. And it also, if the light was from the front, this image would not be nearly as impressive. It wouldn't have the texture to it, and you wouldn't be able to see all that. So lighting it to the side is the way to do that. And that's a good example. That's a good way to break down lighting when you look at somebody's lighting and say, wow, what is it like about this? How did they light that? First thing to do is start analyzing the lighting, take that down. Look at where those shadows fall first of all. That'll probably tell you more about anything else, about the light, than anything else. So anyway, that is a very nice image by Judy. Thank you, Judy, and I thank you guys, all of you guys, for submitting these photos. I really appreciate it. You know, I have to admit, I've been gone here for a couple of months working on these other things, these other projects. And this week was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this again. Got a little bored, quite honestly. But seeing your images really inspire me. And so I want to thank you for submitting those, because they really do help me as well, and it reminds me of why I do what I do. So I hope you guys appreciate this and you get something out of it. Okay, you know what? Let me look at something here real quick. I was thinking here is probably okay. All right. All right. So the next image is from Angela, and Angela. This is a great photo. I love what she says about this. So her challenges are the same things many people have: editing, and of course composition, which are all of our challenges. We all posing is one I see a lot of people talk about as well. Business marketing. Again, if you guys are interested and need some serious help on these kinds of things, reach out to me, because this is what I do. I do coaching, I do education, one-on-one or with groups of people all the time. And so if you're interested, if you need help on something and you want some individual coaching, let me know. We'll work something out. Okay. All right. So this is one of the things that Angela says is she normally does landscape and animals. Okay. But a friend graduated college and was asking her to help her out and take some pictures. Excuse me. So I love her comment. She says she finally got the guts to take pictures of a person. Now, you got to remember, I love taking pictures of people. They're the most interesting subjects in the world. I love photographing people. Why? Because they're all different. We're all different. Every person is different, and I always learn something from working with. So I always love working with the other people. So, but I understand a lot of people are not that way. So let's look at this first image she did, and this is the first image. It's really nice. I think it came out really well, and you know, she's obviously, the cool part is she's trying to tell a story here. I love this about it. So she's written some stuff on the hat, on the graduation hat. She's obviously holding up a stethoscope, and so that's storytelling. It's cropped a little, you know. If you wanted to, you probably, again, you know, I know I tell this on you guys on all these images. You're probably tired of hearing me say that, right? So I'm always like, hey, crop, crop, crop. So again, a lot of information here that's not necessary. It takes away from the point of this. So you know she's a graduate right there. You know, right there. All right. And that probably tells more about the story. So she's a nurse practitioner. Okay. And so that still tells the story, right? But your eye now goes immediately to her. You know exactly what's going on. In fact, you could probably get rid of a little bit more on this left side here. Get rid of this post. Yeah. And do something like that, maybe. The white, for those of you, my wife's a nurse. You guys don't know this. But the white watch is something that a lot of nurses wear. So anyway, this is really, really great picture. Does a great job. I think just a little bit of cropping, you'll be in excellent shape. So nice work on this. I think you missed your calling. Actually, Angela, now look, I know you know this person, and I know that makes a big difference. It obviously shows in your work, but I would not discount photographing people. Think about this. Do take the same approach you've done with her with somebody else. Okay. One thing I love about learning about photographing people is I get to ask them questions, talk to them. How'd you get into this business? How did you get in this industry? What is it you do? What are you going to do next? Take a genuine interest in the person, and they will guide you to these kind of pictures. But let me tell you what's great about these images I'm going to show you, is you tell a story. You've integrated elements. You've integrated props. You've used things to help tell the story. Excellent job. This is what a commercial photographer does. This is what I do when I'm photographing somebody. For example, one thing I did, I'll give you an example. I did a magazine cover for a magazine, and They were 4 women, very wealthy women. They were people that helped helped children, charities, and they were some of them were well known. Their husbands were well known, and if I mentioned their name, you know who they were. Anyway, so I wanted to come up with something that was a little different. And one thing here's a piece of advice I'll tell you. If you're doing a photo shoot, something like this, it doesn't matter what it is. Always, if you have time, try and take at least 1 or 2 photos for yourself, just for you. So I always do that if I have time. So I have a couple of concepts, 1, 2, 3 concepts I'll bring with me. I'll photograph what I call the money shot. This is what the client wants, right? So I'll do their images, then I'll say, hey, look, if you get time, can we try this? Can we try that? I got an idea. Let's see if this works. Most of the time, they'll say, yeah, sure. And what I have found is the better you get at this, for me, 70 to 80% of the time, the client will always pick my idea over their idea because they don't know what all you can do. So they maybe didn't give you this idea. This is something you came up with on your own, right? This is called creativity. This is what we get paid to do. This is what you want people to see, the kind of work you do. So anyway, I did this photo of these women. I did, they were on front of a white background, typical kind of thing. But I had stopped at a place called Michael's, which is a art supply or a craft place, arts and crafts place, and I picked up some finger paints along the way, and some plates, paper plates. And when I got there, I set them out and everything. And we did the photo shoot, and I said, hey, you guys got a couple of minutes, would you mind a couple more shots? They said, no. And I took these finger paints, and I poured them out in this paper plates. And the paper, they were red, blue, green, and yellow, I think. And I said, would you guys mind sticking your hands in these paints and holding them up to the camera? And they were like, well, no, but what about our jewelry? Because they had a lot of expensive jewelry on, of course. I said, okay, well, how about one hand? They said, sure, fine. So I also had them take and put their handprints on the paper, white paper background, and then hold that up. They loved it. And the magazine loved that was actually the image the magazine ran on the cover. So because to me it told a story. It showed not just a bunch of women sitting there in front of a white background that were helping a charity, but it showed that they were helping charities for children. And so that's the kind of thing you can do. That's what makes you a better photographer. Not how many prints you give people, not the price, not equipment you use. Those are the ideas people pay for. This is the idea, the kind of thing that, Angela, you want to do more of. This is what people will say, hey, we love the picture you did of Mary. Would you do something like that for us? And that's why photographers get hired. That's why well-known, successful photographers, that's why the Ann Leibowitzes and people like that get hired, because of their creativity, not because of the equipment they use or how many prints they give or images they use. So anyway, all right, let's go to the next one. This other one is even better, I think. And that is this right here. So again, same kind of thing. You're showing you're telling a story. I think the whiteboard or the blackboard was an excellent idea. Worked perfectly. It could be a little better maybe as far as the cutting off her toe, one thing. I'm not sure how I would fix that actually, but that's not important, quite frankly, because I think what is important is the concept. The concept works. So you could, I don't know, see if you cut this out, you might, looks a little weird, doesn't it? It might work that way. But again, keep that there. That gives that, because I see your lean line. In fact, you could have put a little bit more in the foreground. But right there, again, you could have put the, I forget what they call the tassel or the hat, and the graduation cap. Could have also been hanging off of the blackboard. That would have also helped. But the point is that you did a great job. I love what you did with this because you're trying to tell a story. And not every image is gonna work, but the fact that you understood that and you were working on that is what makes these images fantastic. So excellent job, excellent job. And this last one is another good one, but not as good as the other ones. It's a little straight. But I understand what you're saying here. You told me you were trying to use leading lines. So obviously you're listening here a little bit, to which I appreciate. And so again, on this one, you're close. You're close. So what I would do is you want to try, the leading line should you want to maybe bring this in just, so what I try and do is when I'm doing leading lines, I try and put one corner of the leading line right in the corner of the frame. So you see this now, it's set up to the right corner, your eye's drawn right to her. There's nothing else in the background really. You could, if you were, again, I'm being picky here, this is not, but if you were going to try and play with your flash, what you would do is you would take a shot of this without the flash, okay? You purposely underexpose it. So the background's just a little bit darker. So if this is, and her face would be just a tad dark. Then you turn your flash on and crank your flash up or down manually if you want to just give it the right exposure on her. And that would have given you even a better image because now you'd have had a little bit, you can do this a little bit in post. I could go through and darken the background. That would help a little bit. But anyway, excellent job. I love what you're doing here. I love you're trying to see leading lines, and I love that you're drawing your attention to the young woman. And so, great job. Just Angela, these are just fantastic images. Please do not give up on what you're doing with photographing people. I think these are great. So again, am I saying the images are perfect? No, but that's not the point. So the point is you're trying to learn to see. You're trying to imagine and you're trying to tell a story. That is so much more important than anything else you can do. Because this is how you're going to become a better and a more creative photographer. So excellent job. Okay, let's see here. Something else I want to tell you guys. Let's see if I've got any more notes. Maybe not. I think that's it. Yeah. So, again, let's see. Don't forget, if you guys, to check out Photo Mentor Academy. You can go to photomentoracademy.com. I think, is that here? Yeah, there we go. Of course. And Photo Mentor Academy, you can go to steps so you can learn about my whole process. So I have developed this system that teaches you backwards, what some people would consider backwards. I start with the concept of learning to see first, then learning to tell a story, then learning to worry about the camera and exposure, then worrying about processing. So a lot of people, I think, are doing this old school way, the way I learned in film days, where you had to learn, to start with the camera and the it was like, oh, get off auto. I don't care if you're on auto or not. In fact, I don't even care if you use your phone. Why? The most important thing is if you look at Angela's images, and I'll pick on her or even Judy's or anybody else's we looked at tonight, were not the technical issues. The issues were their ability to see and to come up with a concept and a story behind their photos. And that's exactly what I'm trying to teach people. So that is much more important than the technical aspects. Anybody can learn I can teach that to anybody. I've taught it to grandmothers, taught it to 13-year-old kids. So that's not the issue. But it's very difficult to teach people creativity, to learn to see. So my approach is to teach you to see first, to tell a story second, third, learn the camera, or what I call the exposing the image, and fourth, learning to process, editing, that type of thing. That really finishes off the whole image. So anyway, let's see. Thank you very much again. I appreciate you guys. You know, submitting your photos. And again, if you're interested in getting some individual help, be sure and contact me. You can leave a comment. I read every comment here, or you can reach me at Lee, Lee, at photomentoracademy.com, and let me know you're interested in some coaching. I'll be glad to help you out. I'm going to leave you here with Cam, and then we're going to call it a night, I think.
My name is Cam, and back in my day, we had to walk 15 miles uphill in the snow just to snap a decent photo. None of these fancy gadgets you folks use today. And what's this talk about, a photo mentor trivia quiz? Sounds like a newfangled contraption. But I hear it's a good way to test how much y'all know about the good old days of photography. I bet most of you whippersnappers wouldn't know an aperture from a hole in the ground. Think you got what it takes? Prove me wrong. Try this quiz and show me what you're made of. If you want to impress an old-timer and prove you are a real photographer like me, make sure you don't just click and flash. Subscribe to that. What's it called? Oh, yeah, that YouTubey or some darn thing. Good luck, you'll need it.